Hi, I'm Peter. I'm local. I was born and bred in the area. I've always lived here. Dad was local. Mum came from Manchester because she had a chest problem, and the smogs and conditions up there were very, very bad for her. So they came, got married as teenagers. Then I came along, and we always fished as a family because Mum and Dad were very keen. They'd always fished, and so they introduced me to fishing from about the age of 5, and I've always fished, and that's been my more or less my whole life. So my hobby then became my full-time occupation, and not many people are lucky enough to work all their lives with their hobby. So I'm very grateful for that, and so Mum and Dad introduced me to beach fishing, boat fishing, and then I started going inland coarse fishing and trout fishing, and it's just gone on from there. And when I was 19, I started my own business, my own fishing tackle shop, which I had for well over 40 years. And I eventually retired 7 years ago now, and I do quite a lot of fishing. I'm a professional coach, so I take people out and teach them to fish, and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy seeing the pleasure of other people, what they get out of fishing, being out in the country, just the joy of getting out and really communing with nature as much as the fishing. The fishing is an extra sideline, if you like, to being out in the country and the quiet and what it gets you, especially after what we've been through recently with COVID. The fishing was the first thing that you were allowed to do when we started coming out of lockdown, because you're in the country, generally you're on your own, you're at a decent space from anybody else. So we were able to get out much sooner than most people, which was good. I work with 2 charities to encourage fishing. One is the Masonic Fishing Charity, and we take children from special needs schools out to give them a day's fishing and teach them, the joys of getting in the country. Some of them have never really been in the country before, and the fishing is a completely new thing for most of them, but they all seem to enjoy the day. And then the other charity is Casting for Recovery, which is for women recovering from breast cancer, and they're given a long weekend break. So they arrive at the hotel on a Friday. We take them to a fishery on the Saturday morning and teach them to cast. This is trout fishing, so you're casting a fly. Then we go back to the hotel for lunch. Then in the afternoon we teach them how to tie a trout fly. Then on the Sunday, back to the fishery, and they can then use the trout fly they've tied to hopefully catch trout and take home to eat. And because they're recovering from serious illness, they have physios and medics and psychologists there to help anybody who needs it, but everybody seems to have a real good time, and it's a nice break, and all the women are in the same situation. They've all had the same problem, and again, it's something really nice to do, to see the pleasure they get from having a weekend away and doing something completely different. There's so many aspects. I mean, sometimes I just like to get away on my own and just be there, just with the nature. Other times I fish competitions, and it's, you know, the competitive side I like as well, and you're with a group of like-minded people, and the competition, the chat, the banter, you know, if you lose a fish when you're playing it, there's some remarks about how useless you are, that sort of thing, but you get out of it whatever you want. You can go away and be completely on your own if you want to, or you can be there with a community. More recently, I've taken up bridge, which is a fascinating if complicated game. For those who don't know, it's a card game. It's like whist, but with complicated rules. So I'm still trying to get my head around that one. So mainly now, and gardening. I do quite a lot of gardening. I've got a fairly big garden. It was all my wife's when we moved from Central Hove to Hangleton. It was because the kids were growing up and leaving home, and we only had one daughter at home, and so we had bought a smaller house but much bigger garden, and Di was able to concentrate on her love of gardening and getting that going, as well as her art, being a professional artist as well, and what she could do in the garden was really good for her artistic side as well. You know, getting the different colours of flowers and trees to match, and so that was a big thing for her. I used to do the labouring, do the heavy work, and take all the rubbish to the tip, things like that, and she did the potting up and planting. So between us, we managed it quite well. So that's where I am now. Well, it's very different now. For many years, Di and I worked together. We ran the business together. She did all the complicated stuff, all the book work, and I did all the selling and shop work. So we we were together, you know, really every day, 24/7, working together, raising the family together, and eventually welcoming grandchildren together.